Our nation has come to a screeching halt. From banks to businesses, Broadway shows in the Big Apple, to the beaches in South Miami, our country finds itself nearly frozen in time. COVID-19 has forced the United States into a national state of emergency. During today's episode, we will dissect the details. I'm your host, Eric Wright, and this is a Closet Conservative podcast. It has been 28 days since the first reported case of COVID-19 in the United States. As of Friday, there have been over 270,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus worldwide, resulting in over 11,300 deaths. Here in the United States, COVID-19 has infected over 16,500 and taken the lives of over 215 Americans. By all professional and expert accounts, more infections and deaths are all but assured. The question for our nation and its citizens, can the United States sustain? Unlike the scene in Italy, President Trump and the federal government here in the U.S. have not enacted a national lockdown. However, several states across the country have ordered residents to stay home. The first, California, where on Thursday evening, Governor Gavin Newsom issued a statewide stay-at-home executive action for all 40 million residents. Within his order and communication with Washington, Governor Newsom feared and projected that nearly 56% of California residents could become infected with COVID-19. All violators of his California order who engage in unessential travel will be considered criminals. Residents are still allowed to leave their home for essential needs like medical care and grocery shopping. On Friday morning, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered all non-essential New Yorkers to stay home starting Sunday evening as the state looks to slow the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Grocery stores, food delivery, pharmacies, gas stations, laundromats, and some other businesses will be exempted from the action. On Friday afternoon, the states of Connecticut and Illinois joined California and New York, ordering most businesses to close and told residents to stay indoors. New Jersey is expected to follow suit, as will be the case for other states in this domino effect of statewide closings across our nation. One by one, day by day, nearly hour by hour, COVID-19 continues to cripple our country and striking utter fear within the hearts of Americans. Louisiana, Minnesota, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Washington State have issued the closings of bars and nightclubs, restaurants, and ordered the banning of social gatherings above 10 people. This fear seems to have a stranglehold, causing irrational and often dangerous action by our society. Grocery stores are being flooded, causing a mass daily depletion of food and basic household essentials. People are liquidating cash from their bank accounts. Firearms and ammunition sales of spite. However, manufacturers are nearly frozen and unable to keep up with demand. American manufacturing is halting production across the country. GM, Ford, and Chrysler Fiat have ceased production in all U.S. factories. Global and national supply chains are in danger of being shut down. And while fuel prices remain at 3-year lows, consumer demand for essentials is in real danger of being halted. Our nation's economic markets are the lowest in over 3 years, mimicking returns during the Obama presidency. All gains have been wiped out of the Trump economy. Now, with the workforce of our nation's top population centers and nearly 1 in 5 Americans under a social quarantine, what awaits for our country, our people, and our future? Italians are stating that their national health care system is near collapse. Here at home, spearheaded by the CDC and Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, warned that the United States healthcare system may too find itself in complete disarray. A shortage of healthcare workers, ventilators, masks, and gloves are continual indicators that the COVID-19 crisis is real and endangering our national medical response. Concerning our national economy, according to Goldman Sachs, nearly 2.5 million Americans filed for unemployment this week alone. Most of these jobless claims are the result of the shutting down of the service and tourism industry. From bars and restaurants to hotels and retail workers, service-related industries are down nearly 70% over the last week. National mall retailers such as JCPenney, Gap, Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, Macy's, and Bloomingdale's have also announced immediate closings. Where does America go from here? The coronavirus is wreaking havoc on every sector of the American economy. Every day seems to bring more bad news, massive layoffs, a spiraling stock market, and increasingly drastic measures to contain the spread of COVID-19 that, while necessary, cause further economic damage. It would seem that our immediate future is quite uncertain. The Trump administration has announced a near $1 trillion plan to boost the economy battered by the coronavirus and place immediate cash payments to American citizens to stimulate the economy. Tied into the stimulus package are bailout incentives for businesses such as national airlines and protections for small businesses who are being obliterated by social distancing mandates. So how much money are Americans to expect? According to North Carolina Tom Tillis, ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee, if you make $75,000 a year or less, you'll get a $1,200 check. Anyone making up to $99,000 will get a smaller check. And families with a household income under $198,000 will get up to $500 per child. Will these stimulus checks boost the economy and place and push the needed cash back into the pockets and businesses across the nation? For starters, money unable to spend is utterly worthless. With stores closed for the foreseeable future across the country, and citizens granted a reprieve from paying rent and mortgages without the fear of eviction or foreclosure, what will Americans truly do with this money received? Like I mentioned earlier, many Americans have already made a run on the banks to liquidate their accounts. It would seem highly unlikely that any of these individuals would take their money received under this bailout and deposit those funds into the accounts and to the banks that surely need to utilize these monies to help restabilize our national markets. I would suspect that most individuals would take these checks, hoard the cash, of unsure of what the future holds for their jobs and their families. Folks, our nation is in peril. We are indeed in a national state of emergency. However, our country must come together, fully support the efforts of our president and his administration. Above all else, we must not panic. During times of trials and uncertainty, and as Americans, we must remain vigilant, but also prudent and thoughtful in our actions. Screaming millions of deaths will occur from the newsrooms, hoarding unnecessary food items, engaging in theft and crime, and reacting to fear rather than principle is not and will not allow our nation to overcome this crisis. 78 years ago, on December the 7th, 1941, Imperial Japan wiped out our nation's Pacific Fleet in a surprise military attack, killing 2,335 and injuring 1,143 American civilians and military personnel. On December the 8th, 1941, then-President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in a joint speech to Congress, bolstered American resolve via strength and our nation's people to overcome adversity. In 4 years, America defeated the tyrannical minds and might of Italy, Germany, and Japan, and ended World War II. December the 7th, 1941, a day that will forever live in infamy, pushed our nation and its people into excellence and resolve. Allow this day to be a day that brings the American strength in mind and spirit to deliver our people and its government together as one for yet another example of survival.
This is the Closet Conservative Podcast. All material copyright The Closet Conservative. Music courtesy of Greg Shields Music. Remember to subscribe to our podcast to receive all the latest episodes. We can also be found online at closetconservative.net or on Facebook and Twitter.